I do recall the plot.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Zombies to Zoinks, the podcast where we talk about everything from Green Goblins to Hobgoblins. I'm Daniel.
I'm Stefan.
And I'm Trask.
And let's talk nerdy. Today we're talking about one of my favorite movie trilogies, the Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy.
Must
So
specify.
that's Spider-Man 1, 2, and 3 with Tobey Maguire.
Classic.
Yes. So these movies were the ones that I really liked when I was younger. Like, I think I probably was in the first grade. I remember when that came out in theaters. Spider-Man 1, it was a babysitter I had named Mary Carson, and she had red hair, and I thought she was like Mary Jane. And her boyfriend, she was one of my mom's students who was babysitting me, and her boyfriend at the time worked at the movie theater, like, in town. And she took me to go see it, and I had my little Spider-Man t-shirt that my mom, like, made with, like, a red, like, it was like a red turtleneck and and a Sharpie and, like, drawing the lines and a mask. And he went and he gave me a whole bunch of extra, like, Airheads, I think, and we watched the movie, and it was one of my best. That's probably my first movie theater experiences. Sorry, I just had to throw that out. How are you guys doing?
No, that's good. That's great.
I love these movies so much.
Well, that's a beautiful memory. I have like more so like a kind of a passive recollection of those times.
Oh, really?
Well, and I'll say this: I do love the movies too for what they are. Especially the second one's my absolute favorite. If I had to pick one,
It's one of the best superhero films of all time.
It really
absolutely.
is. And I think that like the hype of Spider-Man back then, though, for me, it's funny. My personal fondest memory of the whole franchise was actually in the video games, because my family, we frequented Blockbuster like nobody's business, and there was this guy that worked there, who I kid you not, he looked like the guy in the video on the Numa Numa dance thing. Remember that? He looked like that, but he was the sweetest guy ever too. Like, but he was so knowledgeable about everything, like any pop culture, anything you could think of. And so we would always get a video game out, and every time we did, he would say something about it. And like his response to us picking out the Spider-Man, it was either the first or second one.
Yeah.
He goes, okay, so I hope you're ready for the greatest experience of your life. Like, I've already played through this one.
Okay.
And I'm like, dude, it's been out for like a week. And he goes, so you're going to want to set it up on your system, get it downloading, then walk away, make a sandwich, because it's downloading the entire map of New York, and it's going to be insane. Like, it's going to take like 30 minutes or something. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So.
I played every single game for the movies on PS2, like when it came out. Like my friend Elijah and I know he had Spider-Man 1, and then I had Spider-Man 2 and 3. And I don't have too many. I have Spider-Man 2 like with me, like right now on my shelf.
Oh, nice.
Which is great, and that is known for one of the best like web slinging mechanics in video games.
Okay.
Like the I remember the guy who actually created the web swinging. They like had him play the Spider-Man PS4 to see like how comparable it was, because I guess he put in like his like sole job was just to create like realistic, satisfying web swinging for Spider-Man 2, the game, and it's like still like that's like it had not been matched until the Spider-Man PS4, which I have not played that one. But I really loved. I don't know, Stefan, if you remember this, because Trask, you probably have you played them on PS2, or
I remember
PC?
having a Spider-Man video game, but I cannot for the life of me remember which one it was. I remember looking up cheat codes and stuff like that to get all the different skins and whatnot. But it was on PlayStation 1. That much I can tell
okay.
you.
Oh, yeah, no.
Because that was the only gaming system we had and we didn't get a PlayStation 1 until PlayStation 2 was already out.
Yeah.
I remember that much. And yeah, I remember playing the video game, but I don't remember anything about it.
You know, and one of those actually might be fun to like do a playthrough with like the three of us, or just like for the beginning.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I was gonna say my personal favorite kind of thing was for Spider-Man 1, before Spider-Man 2 had even come out. In the Spider-Man 1 PS2 game, you could unlock the Green Goblin, and you could play as the like Green Goblin sprite, like, or model that the enemy is, and there's a whole separate storyline that you could unlock with Harry Osborn that of course does not tie into Spider-Man 2 at all. Like they make it is not relevant. It looks like it's an entirely like the storyline is just for the game, but I thought it was the coolest thing ever.
Nice.
But my personal favorite one is actually Ultimate Spider-Man because it's based off the Ultimate comic book series, and that's my personal favorite PS2 game. But
Spider-Man purist, I see.
yes,
My fondest memories of this trilogy is I think Spider-Man 2 was like the first DVD I really got.
Okay, yeah,
because it was right around the time. Because I remember having Spider-Man 1 on VHS, and I remember getting Spider-Man 2 and watching every bonus feature that was available, all the construction behind Doc Ock's arms and all the work that went into stuff like that. I remember taking a picture of myself with like a blanket draped over me and using paint created the most 2D rendering of Doc Ock arms.
Oh my god,
myself.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it was great. I loved the Spider-Man trilogy. I can't remember as much about the third one. Probably once we talk about it more and more, we'll keep coming back to me.
I have a lot of things to say about the third one, and actually, in defense of it, because I know that is the hate. That's the one that killed the trilogy. So I was talking with you guys before we were on air, and I'm going to say it to anyone listening as well that I'm going to change it up a little bit. So once we finish this intro here, we're going to go into our normal sorting session, and then fact check, and then trailer chat. But I'm going to try and condense the sorting session and the fact check a little bit in order to talk about the trailer chat more, because this is one of those things that I could talk forever about, not only on the history of this trilogy in particular with Sam Raimi, Avi Arad, Amy Pascal, and all Tobey Maguire, all the little shenanigans that went on with that, and why this franchise ended, going into the Andrew Garfield trilogy, why that ended, because it's very kind of political, and then how we got into the Tom Holland Spider-Man, and how we then got the Tom Hardy Venom, and now how the Tom Hardy Venom is related to the Tom Holland's Spider-Man related to the MCU, and also then how Doctor Strange 2 is being directed by Sam Raimi. So like it's like talk about a web, right?
Hit him with the alternate timelines.
Yes, because we just got some news recently, kind of about Venom 2, and nothing crazy, but how they're changing it. But so before I get into all that, because again, I could talk about it forever. Yeah. And I really want to hear your thoughts. We're gonna get straight into sorting session. I almost said fact check. So we're gonna go through some of the main Spider-Man characters. I'll keep an eye on the time here. I think we're gonna do 7, and so we're gonna do more characters than we normally do, but talk a little bit less about them. And I'm curious. So I'd like to hear each of your just tell me what you think the house is, and then we'll talk about why. So we'll start with our boy, Mr. Peter Parker. So this, and to be fair, since there's so many different iterations with different comic book runs, different movies, different animated things, this we're just talking about from what we see in the Spider-Man Sam Raimi trilogy with Tobey Maguire. Based off of those events only, what do we think this version of Peter Parker is? Trask, we'll start with you.
Okay, this was kind of a tough one for me. I think that he just has so many characteristics from so many of the houses that it was kind of hard for me to pinpoint. But if I'm gonna narrow it down to, I think, which house has the most, most characteristics, I would say is probably Gryffindor.
Okay.
I would say, some of the defining characteristics are bravery and courage and stuff like that. And he's the kind of person that was given this ability and didn't want to sit down and waste his powers, for lack of a better word. He was given a gift and he wanted to make the most of it. At first it was maybe misguided intentions about just trying to get some money so he could get a car to impress a girl. Mm-hmm. But, after his tragic
fighting Macho Man Randy Savage.
Bonesaw.
Yeah. Stefan, real quick. So I want to hear more your stuff.
Go ahead.
I want to get Stefan's, and then I want to hear. I'll give mine, but I want to hear you guys discuss a little bit more.
Oh, no worries.
So Stefan, what are you
condensing this one?
Yeah.
I personally feel I don't think he's a Gryffindor at all, really. I think he's a Ravenclaw that is being called on to behave like a Gryffindor, act like a Gryffindor, to kind of do more, maybe. I think he's kind of always been a Ravenclaw that, like, when developing powers, needing to dig deep for that courage and that bravery and that kind of headstrong, like Spider-Man. Our Sam Raimi version of Spider-Man, our Tobey Maguire version, didn't always feel like he could be a leader to me, even though my knowledge of Spider-Man, like Peter Parker, has been a leader in the past of small groups and stuff like that, but I didn't know that our Tobey in that film could have been. He felt more grounded and more focused on wanting his relationship and his life to proceed, and his friendships, what mattered most, his close friendships. And so I saw him more of like a solo actor, dealing with New York's biggest threats. And so
I
was just going to tack on there that, his creativity more so, I've felt was more of an inspiring attribute into the way that he problem solved with applying his knowledge of sciences and physics and everything he could to his powers. It makes me think of the train sequence, which like was straight up, brute strength, being able to pull to a stop, but it took the forthright knowledge of like what he needed to do in order to create that stop to occur, the anchor points and stuff, and like how many he needed. And I think there's something to say about the Ravenclaw aspect.
Well, yeah, I want to throw a mine real quick. So talking about the studious aspects and everything. One thing, as well as the relationships with this trilogy, which it's kind of known for as well, is the how heavily it focuses on all of the relationships he has with the different people, rather than the hardcore action and everything. With those moments he has with Aunt May, with Mary Jane Watson, with Harry Osborn, with Dr. Connors, even, who's he didn't get to turn into the lizard in this trilogy, but he didn't have the arm and everything. But you still see those moments. There's actually a version called Spider-Man 2.1. I don't know if you've heard of this, which usually came in like special editions, and it actually has more deleted scenes that all focus more on his relationships, and they only cut these for time, but like they even get even more into his kind of relationships and everything with the people in his life. But because of sort of these, I was going to say he's always struck me as a Hufflepuff.
Huh.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, and then it just comes from the loyalty that we see with his friends, and the fact that this version of Peter Parker, though he is top of his class and everything, I believe out of all of them, this is the one we see the least amount of his studious nature. We see more of his creative side. You got a point. Yeah, we don't see him mixing chemical. He doesn't make his own web shooters in this one. These are all organic, which is kind of infamous for this trilogy. And what do we, when he's becoming Spider-Man in the first one, what do we see him doing? He's drawing and coloring. Like he's focusing more on that creative side rather than the analytical, structured side of like, how am I going to be a crime fighter? He kind of lets his emotions and his feelings for his family and friends be his driving force for all of his actions, rather than that courageous nature of a Gryffindor, and not as that kind of studious nature as a Ravenclaw. So that's why personally I've always seen him as a Hufflepuff.
Yeah, I can agree with those. I think that it was definitely on my radar because of things like that.
Yeah.
I think all three of us can.
I straight up forgot about half of that, actually, when you kind of brought up those points, and I'm like, oh yeah, those web shooters were were all natural, weren't they?
I always feel like that happens with you and I, Stefan. I feel like you say something and I agree with it. Like that's another thing. There's no right or wrong answer. I think we're all correct.
Yeah, this is all subjective.
But like I feel like at the end it's always like, oh yeah, oh I guess so. Yeah. Okay, well let's go on then. Let's go on to Mary Jane. We'll keep this a little bit shorter here because I want to make sure I want to talk. I want to hear your thoughts on some stuff.
Oh lordy, oh Mary Jane. I'm having to like put having to put Kirsten Dunst in my head, right? Because
Yeah.
I have. I'm actually terribly influenced right now by the PS4 game, so I have been playing that.
Okay. Okay.
And she's very different.
I say
than that.
Gryffindor. That's my.
Hmm?
I say Gryffindor.
That's what I was
always think
thinking.
of-
That's what I was
yeah.
thinking too. But I was worried because she's very Gryffindor in the game. And I'm like, am I too
Yeah.
influenced? Well, she's okay. So she's an actress,
Yeah.
in the Sam Raimi. She's very career.
Sorry, actor.
focused. Wasn't it? Well,
Actress
actor.
in 2001, actor in 2020.
Yeah, I'm back in 2001, man. I'm back in 2001.
Yeah, it's okay. No worries.
No, you're good. So she's career centric, right?
Yeah.
And that is like that's an important part of her life. Kind of this this climb that she's got. I want to say Gryffindor. I was trying to find a way to see if I can turn her into a Slytherin if there's a way to justify that, but I don't think.
I think she cares too much about the people around
Yeah,
her. Like
she does care too deeply.
Yeah.
So I can see her. I really do see her being a Gryffindor, to be honest.
Trask?
Yeah, I would agree with Gryffindor.
It's just because she has
Maybe-
red hair. That's why.
No, I would say maybe I could make an argument for Hufflepuff because of those friendships
Yeah.
and those personal relationships that again she cares so
And
much
creative
about.
nature.
Yeah, and I think she just kind of has this I don't want to say innocent vibe to her, but she definitely has this kind of very sincere
Yeah.
characteristic about her, and that could be where I would make the argument for Hufflepuff. But I agree. I think she's a Gryffindor as well.
Yeah.
So,
You know, the part that we see the most of her as a character, again, why Spider-Man 2 is fantastic, is we get to see all of that kind of conflict inside of her with the with JJ's son, how she's engaged to him.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And she doesn't know if she loves him. And I think it's just a really kind of cool character look at. You know, I was gonna say like, you know, it's seeing her like run after Peter in the wedding dress and everything at the end of spoiler alert at the end of Spider-Man 2. I think it's so great. And then the go get him tiger thing, like I think it's so great. And I think we lose a lot of her as a character in. I think we didn't get enough of her in Spider-Man 1, like enough to see her as a character other than the damsel in distress, and then I think we lose a little bit in Spider-Man 3.
And I think that's what I picture her as more is when I think of MJ from Spider-Man from this trilogy, I think of the first movie. And, you know, until you had brought up the point about her getting married and whatnot, I was like, oh yeah, that happened in the second movie.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
and I don't remember a whole lot about her in the third movie other than the club
I remember the
Tobey
other
Maguire
girl.
scene.
yeah.
That's who I remember.
Yeah.
This one's for you. I have actually a very. We'll get into it. I've got a very strong like argument for emo Peter Parker. I won't say that now though. But, okay, let's go to We'll do Harry because we'll stick with the big three here, and then we'll do each of the four villains.
Harry Osborn.
Harry
Can I-
Osborn.
Mind if I jump
Osborn.
on this real quick?
Yeah,
Yes,
go
please
for
do.
it.
My boy, not a Slytherin. My boy he's a Hufflepuff. He's a Hufflepuff that's been slighted, I think.
Wait,
You could say, I think you could maybe say Ravenclaw, but I don't want to just say that just because of his intelligence and creativity and like I could argue that too, but I think that Harry's real driving factor is his relationships as well and loyalty to his friends.
Yeah.
And I think that in doing that, like, you know, thinking of them more than anything else as the rocks in his life, the solid foundations, it's really like, it's almost like an Anakin kind of thing to me. Oh, right, another media here. But like, it's when the people around him fail him that he turns to something bad and doesn't draw upon inner strength, but instead uses that like sense of abandonment and betrayal and turns it into something villainous. And so I
Well,
want
could you say
him to
that
be the
that's an inherent trait though, where someone who is put in that situation, it's kind of up to who they inherently are to see where they come. And so would you say that would make him more of a Slytherin then? I'm playing devil's advocate.
No, I appreciate it. I don't think it makes him inherently more. I don't think even when he's the Hobgoblin that he's a Slytherin.
I'm sorry, the Hobgoblin is not in this trilogy. He's called the New Goblin.
Oh right. All right, listen.
Thank you, Professor.
We all knew what he was supposed to be.
The snowboarding. Well, I got so bummed when we see the gold helmet.
Yeah.
Like in the cave or in the lair, the secret lair, we see the original goblin helmet, then we see a gold one, and then we see the glider, and then in the third one he's got this like snowboarding outfit. I was like, why would you show us the gold helmet if he's not going to be the hobgoblin?
I just remember the first time I saw that, I was like, man, that looks awesome. And then watching the movie, I was like, there is no cranium protection. Oh, he took a head injury. Okay. There it is.
Wasn't thinking. But that's my position, honestly. I feel like even when he's a villain, he's still a Hufflepuff because he's still driven by the broken relationships. It's just the piece, it's his Hufflepuff core that's been shattered that needs to be repaired, which, you know, it does. It gets there, you know, it does, but still.
Eventually.
Interesting. You know, I could go with that. I still think he is a Slytherin, personally. However, we have to think too, you know, movies and stuff, these are about extraordinary people doing extraordinary things in extraordinary situations.
Yeah.
Like, so seeing who are they when they're not in this sort of thing? And I think our best look at that is actually in Spider-Man 3 when he gets amnesia, because he starts acting like none of the bad stuff had happened. He's like, oh, my dad died, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so when he's like, you know, inviting Mary Jane over and hanging out with Peter and being like my best friends and stuff, like, you know, that's kind of who he is without all the bad stuff happening. So at first I was like, no, he's a Slytherin. But I was like, okay, well, you know, if you think about when he's not in those things and he doesn't have any memory of those environmental factors, how does he act?
Yeah.
He acts like a Hufflepuff. So I was like, all right, you know, so
How does it feel, Daniel? How does it feel to have the role reversed now? I've swayed you to my side. Yes. Uh-oh.
All right, so this is me starting over real quick. Sorry about that. A little technical glitch. My preamp here got unplugged, so we couldn't hear you for the last little bit.
Oh no. Well,
so
you didn't hear my killer joke, but everybody live did. You all thought it was funny,
Okay.
right?
Yeah. Here, real quick, Stefan. Let's resync up. So I'm going to
Sure.
say 3, 2, 1, snap. All right. So this is for part 2. I saved the other one. So now we're back at it.
Yeah.
What was your killer joke? Please tell me.
I just, you know, is it funny if you have to say it a second time, Daniel? I just got.
Okay.
I said.
But it'll be the first time for us.
Yeah.
So.
I said, how does it feel? How does it feel, Daniel, to have the role reversed, to be swayed to the other side?
Was that the
He
joke?
Danieled you.
That was it.
guess
That was it. Yes, that was the. Thanks.
Great.
See, and you know what? It was delivered better the first time. Everybody
I'm
here
sure it
knows
was.
it. Everyone here knows
We'll
it.
we'll listen to it on your audio.
I'm sure it was great. All right. So next, what is the name? Bernard, the servant, Harry's servant.
Harry's. Oh.
What?
I'm kidding. It was a joke.
Oh yeah. Right.
Your
Pug Wedgie, obviously.
I cleaned his wounds, and they came from his own glider. That guy.
Yes, I
I'm just kidding.
remember that scene.
Okay.
now.
All right. So real quick, we're gonna do a speed round with all of our villains here. Norman
Paul
Osborn.
Giamatti as the Rhino.
Wrong trilogy. Or wrong movie.
Was it? Oh
Paul
man!
Giamatti is
wow.
the Rhino in Andrew Garfield.
You're right.
Oof.
right.
Okay.
There are. It's a wonderful thing, but there are so many Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Jamie Foxx.
Okay.
Yes.
No.
Okay.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Norman Osborn, played by Willem Dafoe, who
Willem
didn't need a mask. Like, why cast Willem Dafoe as a goblin if you're not? Like, I'm not saying he's.
Willem
that's
Dafoe,
not
we
the-
love
What are you
you,
trying to
but-
say about?
I'm saying he has a lot of facial movement, and he could make himself look scary. So if he chose, to
You got a
appear
good point.
scary.
I think that's a big
Yeah.
part of like why I look back at that trilogy and I frown a bit at like they're trying to make it real, a lot of it. But
yeah.
but
his
but
little Power Ranger suit.
But you know who didn't take head trauma?
That's
because
true.
he had
Norman
a
Osborn.
helmet that covered.
yeah,
That's what the little point at the back
Yeah.
was. Like, I always thought it was interesting too why you know, it's like you have this like military suit, and so the green stuff, like that's like a military suit that goes with the glider.
Right.
Where did he get the goblin helmet? Was that part of the
He
military
just
thing?
straight up wanted to be a badass.
Did he make it?
yeah.
Who made the?
Who fabricated this?
Yeah, right.
Well, he probably made it himself. If Peter Parker was able to make his own Spider-Man gear. Like
Okay,
that.
it's one thing to like form like metal alloy into a goblin mask that has like moving like visor eyes.
Hey, he says it in the beginning. He's something of a scientist himself.
I mean,
He could probably make it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
The only other Willem Dafoe quote I can do
Yeah.
is the Boondock Saints stuff. So
I was gonna say,
save
what are some of the best like Spider-Man memes? Or like, I like the gonna cry. Like,
Actually, I did see a great one today, and I almost sent it to you guys, but I wanted to save it for
yeah. Well, here,
this. It's a Green Goblin thing real quick, though, but it also crosses over into, it's the one with the Joker, where he says in their last moments, people should show you who they really are.
Yeah.
And it has the Green Goblin holding up Jameson.
Yeah.
It says, who's the photographer who takes the pictures of Spider-Man? And he says, I don't know. His stuff comes in the mail. And it says, J. Jonah Jameson was a hero.
yeah, no, absolutely, yes.
So
Oh,
there's my little
that's awesome.
Goblin.
Beautiful. I'm gonna put
okay.
Goblin as a Slytherin. I'll put
Okay, I was gonna say Norman Slytherin.
yeah, for sure.
Doc Ock
Ravenclaw.
Gryffindor.
Whoa.
I was gonna. Oh, I no.
Really?
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Oh no, I could say Ravenclaw.
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah,
Two
he's
for
absolutely.
two.
I was like,
Two
he's
for
like one
two,
of.
yes.
He's no, yeah.
Yes.
Sandman, Hufflepuff.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Flint
for sure.
Marko.
Yeah,
For
everything
sure.
that he did was to try and
Yeah.
help his family. Yeah.
Eddie Brock, Slytherin.
Yeah, I don't remember him. Very
Was he
much, so I'm
another
gonna
victim
say
of his
yes.
circumstance, though?
He's kind of a dick, like throughout the entire.
Okay,
I guess.
sure.
Yeah. I
Oh
guess
wait,
I'm
wait,
having
wait! Eddie
different-
Brock. Eddie Brock. I was thinking of, for some reason I jumped to JJ's son for some reason. No. Yes,
Oh,
Slytherin.
no.
Topher Grace.
For sure,
Okay.
Slytherin.
Yeah.
Hated Eddie Brock.
Venom with quotes. Loose Venom.
Oh god.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to think what.
I just keep picturing his Eddie
Paul
Brock's
Giamatti.
face.
That's what I know. Okay.
I just keep picturing Eddie Brock's
s-
face peeling back through the Venom skin and being like, I'm
Yeah.
gonna
Yeah.
hang on a wall and talk to you now like a little human man.
Yeah. I'm trying. Wait, there's like a quote that I used to say from him where, you know, it's not that like he humiliated me. It's not that one. It's like, God, I don't even remember. The only quote I can think of is where he goes like, "My spider sense is tingling, if you know what I mean," with like the really bad like pointy teeth and
Yeah.
like. I really really like Topher Grace. I do not like him as Eddie Brock.
Uh-huh.
I think Tom Hardy is fantastic. Like, my first knowing Eddie Brock was actually the Ultimate Spider-Man, where he is a lot more like Topher Grace, where he's the same age as Peter, and they were like they're friends when they were younger. Like Peter was like 6, and then he was like 8 or 9, I want to say, and their dads were friends. That's in the Ultimate Verse, Spider-Verse
Yeah.
story arc, whatever. But in the original comics, Eddie Brock is a reporter and photographer, but he's like already jacked. Like the reason why Venom is jacked is because Eddie Brock is like jacked also. Yeah, but that's that. I want to get on to fact check.
All right.
Yes. Okay. Okay. So we're gonna go through. I've got some facts here. I've got 5. One of them is going to be a lie. And I'm curious what you guys think of all of these. So I tried to go throughout and choose at least one per movie. So for Spider-Man 1, the Green Goblin was not the original villain in the first draft. It was actually Doc Ock. And in other pitches or scripts throughout the pre-production, because it took 17 years for the Spider-Man 1 to get off the ground. That's a fact, I'll say. But in that time, Doc Ock was supposed to be the first villain, and at one point Electro was the villain with Sandman as a sidekick.
Ooh.
I feel like a lot can change in 17 years, so I
Yeah.
can see how that could be possible, but
I don't see why not,
No.
honestly. And I know that they were talking about using Electro, I believe, at one point.
I mean, if he ended up making appearances in future.
Well, I know that they wanted to split they wanted to split the third film around more. Like something happened there. I'm sure we're going to end up talking about it, but like,
oh yes,
yeah, I'm like,
yes,
there
yes.
was so much
not in
shoved into that
fact
third
check,
film.
but yes,
Yeah.
There's the third film had a mess.
So I know
happen.
that they were probably looking at doing some solo something or other with some people, or fixing that if they had more stretched out films to do this with. I'm going to say this was true. I'm going to hold on. It's the first one.
Well,
So
and to be fair, this is before superhero franchises were a thing. So
True.
keep that in mind
They're-
as well.
they're-
So like at this time, Spider-Man 1 was the renaissance for the superhero film. Before this, no one had any idea. They were like, superhero movies, you're not going to make a franchise about that. You're not going to have sequels. This is for like cheap, little kid stuff, So just keep that in mind. So like when talking about like solo films, no one was going to be like, we're going to make an offshoot of Spider-Man in 1999, because and also another thing, I want to make sure I didn't have this. I don't think I did. James Cameron almost made his own Spider-Man film before this. Yeah, and
interesting.
that was in that. Yeah, so and I believe something with that fact involves James Cameron. One of those was his idea, but so that's the first one.
Okay.
The second one, Hugh Jackman almost made a cameo in Spider-Man 1.
as Wolverine or just as Hugh Jackman?
It might have been. It might have been. Well, I only found it as Spider-Man. It would have been after X-Men came out, like after he had been established. So it might have been Spider-Man 2. So Hugh Jackman, though, like it would have just been like at the beginning or something, like walking through New York, Tobey Maguire was going to bump into someone, and it was going to be Hugh Jackman, and he was going to say, "Watch it, bub."
Yeah, I think that's about right.
So it's not going to. It wouldn't have been like Wolverine costume or anything like that. And the only reason they didn't do this was because of scheduling conflicts.
Yeah,
Ugh.
yeah.
I don't know. See, I'm torn on this one because if it just came out,
Well,
it wouldn't have had the name brand value that making Hugh Jackman's cameo in Deadpool makes sense, whereas Hugh Jackman's cameo in the first or second Spider-Man movie, I don't think it would have had as much value.
Well,
there hasn't been any kind of a tie to it since.
Spider-Man and Wolverine have a huge like thing in the comics.
They
do.
do.
They work together all. So it would have
I
been.
guess that's true.
And you have to think there are no superhero films yet, really, like of this nature. There's no large cinematic superhero film.
No.
So it would have been It would have been Fox and Sony, who owned this respective rights to each franchise, just coming together for a friendly little nod, like there was, because again, this was not. Iron Man had not happened. There was no big banking franchise, and these movies hadn't. Spider-Man 2 is really when the Raimi trilogy kind of like took off. The first one was a hit, and the second one was a hit. X-Men was not as received as well, but it would have just been studios giving a nod to each other.
poking each other.
All right.
Just keep that.
I gotta hear the rest of them first.
All right, number 3. In Spider-Man 2, originally Doc Ock was going to have a love triangle with Mary Jane. Like, so Spider-Man, Mary Jane, and Doc Ock.
This does not make any sense to me, especially if the only way that I would believe it is if they had changed the casting and did not go.
This was way before. This is like they were planning Spider-Man 2 while they were shooting Spider-Man 1. So keep in mind they had not cast anything.
Anything. So this is just story concepts being thrown around.
This is when they were like coming up for, at one point in the script process, screenwriting process, Doc Ock was going to be in a love triangle with Mary Jane.
Maybe.
Yeah,
and I could see how that at some
know.
point got switched and went, well, we just made it Harry instead and made that the whole problem because that's where they started, But I don't know. I feel like they wouldn't have wanted to complicate it. That's the problem. I can't remember if they were already
Especially
establishing those ties in the first film with Harry and Mary Jane and Peter. So what do you think, Tresk?
I think they were establishing the ties
Yeah.
between them, because I remember was it like Thanksgiving or something? He swung it. He had a cut on his arm. I remember that whole scene. Like there was definitely some tension.
So I think
with the three of them. But the big thing that I'm struggling with is Otto had a wife, like in the beginking of the film.
But-
so I
but it-
find
but
it, and I feel like
with
that's
this
something
Otto-
that would have been established in the.
Well, this Otto wouldn't
In the
have
comics.
had to if they hadn't even thought if they wanted to make Otto an old guy yet, an older guy, like even still, if they're just writing it. I think this is the lie, and I just think that you inserted Doc Ock where Harry Osborn was. That's
I'm sorry, you cut out for a second there.
I think you inserted Doc Ock where Harry Osborn was.
Okay.
That's my thought.
All right, let's get on to the next one.
Yeah.
All right. So, Tobey Maguire, after Spider-Man 3, they had plans for Spider-Man 4. Tobey Maguire did not find out that Spider-Man 4 was canceled until they announced Andrew Garfield was now Spider-Man.
Yeah, I think that's true.
I feel like that happens.
It happens so much. Well, people find out about. I've heard a couple of I've read a couple of articles and seen stories of people that discover things about their own franchises via articles published by other people, or like friends sending them things, being like, like it's like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry about what's going to happen to you in The Walking Dead. And they're like, what? And they go, well. And then they're like, well, we filmed all these scenes, and they didn't tell me and like, no, your character's gone. Like, there's an article on it. And like, oh, okay. So like,
all right,
yeah.
Wait, I want to get to the last one.
Sure.
And then I really want to hear what you guys think is true, because I tried to find some like outlandish sort of things here. Jake Gyllenhaal almost played Peter Parker in Spider-Man 2 after a huge mess and debacle with Tobey Maguire. And oh no, I'm gonna leave it at that.
Oh God. Okay. Oh wow.
Because you guys are probably gonna have questions.
That's I don't know. I want to say that that's a little ridiculous, but I probably could see it, probably. And then I'm sitting here thinking, I'm like, oh, well, he's probably wanted to be in a superhero film for a long time since then. And then he finally gets Mysterio. And like, that's like a little like, full circle return. Now you get to be in a Spider-Man film. And I could see it because Jake Gyllenhaal to me is like enough like Tobey Maguire that they'd be like, this is like a logical, like, we would accept this, I mean, like, the Hulk's changed twice now, so
yeah. But the thing is, with the Hulk changes, they were complete reinventions of the characters. Yeah.
The Incredible Hulk in the MCU, though it's distributed by Paramount, the Edward Norton Hulk and the Mark Ruffalo Hulk are supposed to be the same Hulk.
Yeah, they keep the same details. Like, it's in the same world.
Tony Stark is at the end of the Incredible Hulk.
That's true. But he never interacted with Edward Norton.
No, but he interacts with the General, and the General comes back in Civil War.
Right. So,
and they also talk about the Super Soldier project that they put on ice in the 50s, and that's where the Hulk came from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like Mark Ruffalo was different enough.
Uh-huh.
It's one thing to kind of change a secondary character, for lack of a better word, like when Don Cheadle took over for Terrence Howard.
Yeah,
I feel like that was enough of. I can't imagine them replacing RDJ with somebody and pretending that it's the same guy.
Uh-huh. Well,
I can't imagine Tobey Maguire and Jake Gyllenhaal though.
Yeah,
right, and that's what I'm saying is that's he's the main character. You're talking about Spider-Man in a Spider-Man series. Yeah.
So far, we just have Spider-Man 1 and X-Men 1. Those are the only like large-scale superhero movies that had come out by this time. Maybe Blade, I think you can kind of count, but it wasn't like So I tried to choose.
Okay. I think it would have failed if they had done it, but I think it was true. I think it was possible.
Let me know if you want. I have a little bit more tidbits to add to that if you're interested. If that's throwing you.
The Jake Gyllenhaal one.
The Jake Gyllenhaal. I have a little bit more for each one. A couple of them. So I'll go through again.
Well, that could change the whole dynamic of the question. Yeah. Go ahead. Go recap all of them.
Okay.
Let's do that.
Green Goblin was not originally the villain in Spider-Man 1. It was at one point it was going to be Doc Ock, and then they also had a version where Electro was going to be the main villain with Sandman as a sidekick.
Okay. I could see that.
Yep. I believe it.
Hugh Jackman almost made a cameo in Spider-Man 1.
I
guess it is possible, yes. If they were going to replace him, if they were going to replace Toby with RDJ.
Doc Ock was supposed to be a love triangle with Mary Jane in Spider-Man 2.
That's the one that I'm just like, I really
Yeah,
don't
that
think they
one's-
want to do that to Doc Ock ever.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm finding that one a little less.
Tobey Maguire
believable.
did not find out Spider-Man 4 was canceled until they announced Andrew Garfield was now Spider-Man.
Yeah, probably.
Studios are sucky sometimes. Yeah.
Yep. And then Jake Gyllenhaal almost played Peter Parker in Spider-Man 2 after a huge mess with Tobey Maguire.
This is the only other one that I'm kind of like, maybe not. But I really think that I feel like it's probably a thing. Because so much weird stuff happens, behind the scenes.
Yeah.
I really think this is true as well. I'm going on that.
All
I'm
right,
banking
so let me-
full
I'll
in
go
on
with
that
that.
Doc
Well-
Ock. Is where I'm saying.
Yeah, I'll go in on the Doc
Both
Ock.
really not opposing. You're both.
Well, last time I did an opposing one just for the sake of being opposing. I knew that I was going to
Okay,
lose. So
okay.
if I pick a different one, this is going to be the false one.
All right. So I will go through now. The Green Goblin was not the original first choice for a villain in Spider-Man 1. That's true.
Okay.
Doc Ock at one point was from what I believe the James Cameron one, which when he was going to take it on, that was going to be the original one, and then that kind of changed directors and hands a whole bunch. I know Leonardo DiCaprio almost was Spider-Man instead, and it was going to be it was going to be darker too. Again, hands changed so much, it got reinvented. They just did a full origin with kind of Green Goblin as your staple one. I thought it was really strange that Electro was going to be the villain at one point too, with Sandman as a sidekick. I was trying to think about how that would happen, but that's what my little article that I found that was true. I had heard about Doc Ock, but I hadn't heard the Electro one. Hugh Jackman almost made a cameo as like Wolverine with quotation marks in Spider-Man 1. That's what I thought. That was actually a fact that I heard a long time ago. It's one of my favorite tidbits because it was almost showed that crossover sort of world
Abilities.
Yeah. Well, like before there was all this mess with franchises and who owns the right to who.
Right.
It would have just been this actor was going to be on the set, say, "Watch it, bub," which happens to be a line similar enough to Wolverine, and that was going to be it, just as a fun nod.
Little Logan cameo.
Kind of like your Bruce Campbell sort of thing.
Yeah.
Number
Number 3.
three.
Here it is.
Doc Ock was supposed to be in a love triangle with Mary Jane. So I want to say at one point I had heard that too, but yeah, it was just any script for
Ew.
Spider-Man 2 at one point. He wasn't going to be old or anything. He was going to be like after college.
Well, I say
sort of thing, I
I just
believe.
say ew in the fact that it would have made the whole thing messy. Because then you're like, because they were tying.
Yeah, that's why they didn't do it.
Oh man, I'm glad.
Yeah. So it was not, again, I'm not, that's what I was trying to say. This was not they had cast everyone. This is the official thing they were going to do, and then they changed it.
Yeah.
They were going to do like a new version sort of thing of Doc Ock where he was going to be younger, and it was going to be like the love triangle, and then they used that then.
Look at all these
for
smart
Spider-Man
guys into Mary Jane Watson.
Yes. Tobey Maguire did not find out Spider-Man 4 was canceled until they announced Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man is not true.
Oh man.
So
I was going to I feel like there was too much of a time difference between those.
So okay,
Wasn't there?
no, actually, so I kind of combined two things because I wanted to fool you. Okay, so
This guy making up his Yu-Gi-Oh series
I remember
again.
I remember all of the crying
fact-
Toby memes
that
on the
fact
stoop.
is for Tom Holland and Andrew Garfield. Andrew Garfield did not find out that he was not Spider-Man until Tom Holland was cast.
You got
Okay,
me
there it is.
flipping confused with my
Yes.
details and
Yeah.
articles.
However, the same sort of thing did happen with Tobey Maguire. He had not officially gotten confirmation that he was fired until they had officially scrapped that series and were going to reboot it.
Okay.
But they had already planned that they were going to reboot it before they announced Andrew Garfield was Spider-Man.
Gotcha.
That's the thing.
Okay.
So I tried to use some stuff to fool you there. And then Jake Gyllenhaal, this is the craziest one, almost was Peter Parker in Spider-Man 2 because of I literally just wrote, after a huge mess with Tobey Maguire, because there was too many factors for me to list off on this thing. So I believe the original thing was, I could be wrong. Someone can look up the facts, and if I'm saying right now, I could be wrong on some of these details. Tobey Maguire wanted more money for Spider-Man 2, and they were like, "Oh, we don't want that." And then also while he was filming, I believe Spider-Man 1, he hurt his back, and so he wanted more money for that.
Carrying the franchise.
He hurt his back like in a fall, and that is why I know this is a thing. Why when he loses his powers in Spider-Man 2 and he falls and he hits and he goes and he's saying, I'm back, and then he goes, "Oh, my back." my back.
Oh, they're
that was a
making
joke.
fun of him.
That was a joke that they put in because of this debacle before they filmed Spider-Man 2.
That's
Awesome.
Avi Arad, who's the producer, along with Amy Pascal for a lot of these Sony Spider-Man stuff, he did have a conversation with Jake Gyllenhaal about coming in. And also there's something with Tobey Maguire gambling. That was another thing. Like he was like doing a bunch of stuff too that was not working out, and they're like, hey, we don't want this. So they had full talks with Jake Gyllenhaal. They were ready to boot Tobey out, and Tobey Maguire literally was like, I didn't know we were there yet. All right, I'll behave, and wow. I will take the money and everything. So,
gotcha.
So again, that's a whole long weird debacle, but that's that.
Gotcha.
So
all right, so we have about 15 minutes left, and Daniel, I know you want to get on to fact check. So, sorry, wow, we are botching all these names today.
Trailer chat.
So
okay, so I'm just going to I'm going to say a bunch of stuff that I just want to hear your thoughts on because I love it, and I'll try and keep it. So one, Bruce Campbell. We were talking about this before. So
love Bruce Campbell.
So Bruce Campbell, he makes an appearance in, I don't know if it's every Sam Raimi movie, but it's every Spider-Man Sam Raimi movie.
Definitely that.
He's a good friend with
he's
Sam
good friends
Raimi.
with Sam Raimi.
Yeah. So the original plan for this, I almost put this as part of fact check, but it's not. So the original plan for this in Spider-Man 4, which was scheduled, they had a script and everything. It's going to feature the Vulture. I want to say John Malkovich, I think, was the main Vulture candidate that they wanted.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
Right? I believe from what I've heard, the plan for this Spider-Man 4 was that Peter was going to be dealing with the death of Harry, spoiler alert. At the same time, he was going to be dealing with the Vulture, a new bank robber in town who was actually like being able to thwart him like nobody's business. Like it was going to be, he was going to try and stop the Vulture. The Vulture was going to outsmart him every single time. And he was like, how do I deal with this? So rather than just like, your big villains who were kind of just hitting a lot of these ones, this was going to be more like, he was going to outsmart him.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, Aunt May was going to start dating someone and start spending less time with Peter. And Peter wasn't sure, like with the whole Uncle Ben thing, he didn't know really how to take it. And it was going to turn out that the person she was dating was John Malkovich.
Okay.
The Vulture. So that was kind of the plan. However, that movie, and I think there's
love triangles, man. I tell you.
Yes. The storyboard for this, they have it out somewhere. The movie I think was going to open with Spider-Man stopping a bank robbery from Mysterio. And it was going to be like, he had heard about Mysterio, like it was going to be like this big guy that he had been like trying to stop between Spider-Man 3 and 4. And Mysterio, he finally has this big confrontation, and he's able to like stop him in like 2 seconds. And they're going to take off his hood, and it was going to be Bruce Campbell. And it was going to be that Bruce Campbell was Mysterio in every single Spider-Man movie up until then, being his like kind of master of disguise, sort of, not chameleon, but like his,
because he had three completely different roles.
Yes, and he was like like trying to track him down or something like that.
Gotcha.
Something like that. It was going to be a joke that Mysterio was then going to be Bruce Campbell, and he was going to be arrested. And
that's
like
amazing.
That. Yes.
What was his cameo in the third one? Because I only remember the first two.
He's the waiter. The oh, hello there. Where he's about to propose, and he's like oh he's the French waiter. Where he's like oh, can you play this song? He's like, oh, it's a favorite, monsieur.
Oh, okay. I guess I still don't really remember it. Like I don't deny that's I just don't remember. I remember the snooty usher and obviously the ring announcer. But.
Yeah. So that was going to be a fun little thing.
Okay.
And and they have something like that. I think in the Spider-Man 2 there's a Spider-Man video game where you have a mission where you're going to stop Mysterio.
Yes.
And he has like this giant health bar that's like huge.
You just knock him down in one hit.
And you hit him one time, and then he immediately dies. Because it's going to be that sort of... Where it was like... Because that's always the thing with Mysterio, is that he's always just a guy. He's just using theatrics and stuff. And I think they did it great in the new one. So I thought that was kind of fun. So I'm trying to... I'm not sure if I want to talk about Spider-Man 3 and that whole debacle with Avi Arad, he's kind of the guy that I don't like. He kind of killed... Spider-Man 3, and it's just because after the success of Spider-Man 2, they really, really pushed Sam Raimi for time and also content. They're saying, he was originally like, I think Vulture was actually going to, no, it was just going to be Sandman. It was going to be the main bad guy in Spider-Man.
That's what I
3.
remember.
Or Vulture might have been, and then they were going to push it back. But anyway, they were going to it was going to be a single villain. We weren't going to have the new Goblin. We weren't going to have any of this stuff. And it was going to be like the lead up, the end of Spider-Man 3, I was going to say was going to be like the Harry donning the full costume or something like that. And then the end of Spider-Man 4 or something might have had, they're like leading up to Harry being the villain. It wasn't going to be immediately the next movie.
Okay.
Yeah. And Avi Arad was like, oh, hey, Venom's the most popular character. And Sam Raimi's like, he's not in our script. And also, it doesn't make sense to do that. And they're like, Venom's the most popular character. Put Venom in the movie. So that's why Topher Grace is like kind of in it, like, and he has some good moments, but like that's why Venom is literally in the last like 15 minutes, like as Venom. So that's kind of why it tanked. Is there's a bunch of pressures on getting the movie as fast as they could and then getting Spider-Man 4 out as fast as they could, and it just was not working, and they just said, okay, this is over.
Such bad decisions.
I was gonna say yes. So but my defense also for the emo Peter Parker, no,
yes,
like
with the
like
finger guns, and then yep.
So everyone hates on that, saying it's dumb, and it is dumb. But you have to think,
and I agree with them.
It is, yes. Well, what would a nerdy kid think in the early 2000s? What someone cool would look like and do? Someone who like socially doesn't know what being popular is like, and now has this newfound confidence inside of them to want to portray and be a.
They would obviously go to a jazz bar and
Yeah.
have a dance number.
They know this.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I agree that's exactly, but like my question is, why did we let that play out? Like why did we have to see it? Like, yeah, it would occur, but just the avenue for which, I was not fond of Peter's whole like, let me stop being Spider-Man and just be a cool boy.
Okay. Well, I mean, no, he was being Spider-Man, but he was like,
I'm mixing 2 and 3 together. Sorry.
Oh yeah. Well, one of the I think it works because if it had a different place in the narrative, you have to think about the raindrops moment in Spider-Man 2. I think is hilarious and works so incredibly well when he loses his powers, and you have the raindrops keep falling on my head, and they even have the freeze frame.
Yes.
Yeah, like I think it's hilarious and it works because it's a comedic moment that works well with the narrative, and where he's very like, I don't have my powers anymore, but I'm going to be content with who I am. Yeah. This is almost the flip of that, and I think it could have worked if the story had been different.
Okay.
Too many forced changes to the script.
Exactly. So like
would have worked better in the original idea, but still needed to try and make it work for.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you have like literally, you have like that moment, and then I feel like almost immediately right after that, you have him like, well, you have the jazz bit, which is kind of over the top too, but you have him like ripping off in like the Gothic church and everything. Like the two tones feel so different.
Yeah,
and so so either like don't have the jazzy emo walking down the street, or like some of the like oh, do you have any cookies? No, but like go make me some. I think like all the
Here's my thought.
I want to get your thoughts.
What
way
please,
of fix it
please. Is if they dial it back to the original concept and just let Sandman play out the way he should, build Harry Osborn underneath, give us the Venom symbiote and let it affect Peter in a really negative way. Maybe that's partially too like Peter's decision to gravitate towards that newfound strength and confidence and power is yet another wedge between him and Harry and things like that. Like he just realizing he's becoming something he doesn't want to be. And I just love that moment. I love that ripping off, in the church sequence. I think that there should be a shedding of something, but don't give us Venom at the end.
Yeah.
Let the symbiote crawl away for later use.
Yeah, well, because he has the black suit in the comics like a long time before Venom comes in. It's a full. Oh, also a whole other thing with the symbiote costume, which a lot of people don't talk about. In the comics, originally, they had a contest, which was draw us a new suit for Spider-Man, and if we like it, we'll put it in like an issue or something. And the guy who invented the black suit, where it was all black with the white symbol, originally the symbol was red, and he submitted it, and I think they gave him like $25 and like a free comic book or something like that, and they put it in an issue, and they changed it from red to white for some reason, and it was just supposed to be for the like secret invasion space thing. That's where the original one comes, where Peter is like with the Avengers on a planet, and then he gets the suit there. It became so popular then that they just took it. So technically, the guy who created the suit sold the rights for $25.
Oh, that's so sad.
And that's
Well, they
all.
changed it. That's
And-
how they could get away with it.
yeah.
And
you
low
know?
key,
It's- well, we didn't take his original design.
Yeah.
We
Yeah,
took
but he also-
inspiration
he also
from
low
this
key
and
But there's
invented
also
created
stuff
our
in
own.
it.
Morales.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
How amazing was Spider-Verse, though?
Oh, great.
Oh,
so
so good.
oh, yeah. Oh,
I'm ready for the sequel. Yeah. Well, so for my last little bit, in case anyone out there is curious, we got some news for Venom 2. It is now called Venom: Let There Be Carnage. It moved from a 2020 winter release to now a 2021 spring release. I believe it's June. And as of right now, they haven't changed it yet. Spider-Man 3 with Tom Holland is supposed to be coming out in July 2021. So we have those to look forward to. Venom 2, I'm sure, is going to have some crossover. I don't remember when Morbius is coming out. I think it might be coming out in winter
that's right.
now instead, with Jared Leto. That is supposed to connect to the Spider-Man franchise to some degree. Everyone threw a like, oh my goodness, because the Sam Raimi suit appears on a poster behind Morbius in the trailer with someone writing murderer on it. Turns out they used that as a placeholder, and they didn't think people would realize that's the Sam Raimi costume from the PS4 video game. So they're going to be changing that. They've said that it will be a poster of Tom Holland Spider-Man, not Sam Raimi Spider-Man, because everyone thought there was going to be a crossover. They've officially said that's not going to happen. However, I guess Scorpion and what's his face? Vulture. Well,
Yes,
it took me
you
forever
got
to say
it.
that. Scorpion and Vulture are probably going to have a cameo in Morbius. And there's going to be, like, from the scene that you can see in the trailer, there's a prison break with Vulture saying, "Hey, what's up, Doc? You're not a good guy anymore," or something like that. So in that scene, I'm theorizing that Carnage is going to. They're all supposed to be in the same prison, I guess. Like Carnage and Vulture and Scorpion are all supposed to be in the same prison, and that is a prison break. So now we have all of those out loose trying to find Spider-Man while he's on the run. Spider-Man 3 is not supposed to, however, have Morbius, Venom, or Vulture or Scorpion in it. And I think it has not been confirmed. I'm theorizing it's going to be Kraven, the Hunter, tracking Spider-Man after the name. His name was revealed at the end of Spider-Man 2, like Spider-Man Far From Home.
Yeah.
I have. I don't think
I
it's
do
gonna be
remember
Kraven, actually.
hearing. I remember
You
hearing
don't?
a lot about Craven.
And
Or
I
something,
think
but
I
can't
think it's not
remember
going to be
exactly
Kraven
what it
for this reason. But I think they're going to be using Kraven in the second end of the Spider-Verse
Interesting.
because
I
he's
will
going to
say,
be
though,
hunting down multiple spiders through dimensions, I believe.
That would be cool. However, there are 2 Kraven Easter eggs, that one in Morbius and one in Venom 2 on the set so far. So I believe right now there is a truck that says Kraven, which is in Morbius. And then there's another, I don't remember what it is, but there's another one at the end of, or somewhere on the set of Venom 2 that was released. Also, fun fact, Chameleon was supposed to be the bad guy in Spider-Man 3 for Andrew Garfield.
Oh, really?
Yeah. There's a lot of people missed it, but at the end of the credits for Spider-Man 2, for Andrew Garfield Spider-Man 2, you see all of the different schematics for the Sinister Six. Like you see the glider, you see the octopus arms, you see a mask, you see Kraven's spear, like all of those, like you see the schematics for it. But at the very end of that little animated sequence, just before the normal black credits appear, you see like 2 flashes of white, and it's the Chameleon's mask. And it's like given its own little special place.
Got it.
But they jumped the gun and they didn't do Spider-Man 2 great, so I guess that means nothing. And also a lot of people, I know we got to wrap it up here soon. A lot of people are theorizing that there will be Tobey Maguire will be making a cameo or something like that in Doctor Strange 2, Multiverse of Madness, because it's being directed by Sam Raimi. Yeah. So I don't think that, I think they've come out now. I was theorizing it for a little while. They are coming out now saying that that is not a thing, but
it should be. I
could see them doing a Spider-Verse live action down the road with Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, and Tom Holland if everyone's on board for it. Yeah. I don't think it's what we need right now, and I don't think the MCU and Feige is going to doing that. Also, another fun fact that a lot of people don't know, Kevin Feige has been helping Sony behind the scenes for like years uncredited.
I didn't know that.
Because literally they're like, wow, we suck at what we're doing. Can you help us? And he's like, sure. So he like tried to help with the Andrew Garfield series.
Yeah.
And they like didn't listen to him. And then he helped with Venom uncredited. Like he helped like steer them with the movie. Yeah. So.
Wow.
Fascinating. Sorry, like I said, I could talk about Spider-Man movies for days.
It's cool though. It's really cool hearing all this stuff.
Let There Be Carnage. Cletus Cassidy's in it. It's Woody Harrelson.
Carnage.
Yes, I was hoping that they were going to use the name Maximum Carnage because Let There Be Carnage is a little dumb, but
yeah.
What is it? Trying to think of other facts that I don't know if this is spoiler territory. There's set pictures of Woody Harrelson. He had the like red fro in the Venom post-credit scene, but he's got the haircut more similar to the comics, or at least the animated one, where it's like short on the sides and like kind of not like a faux hawk, but like longer on the top. And he's also wearing his like red and yellow Hawaiian shirt, which he's worn in like a few iterations. But
gotcha.
That's what he's wearing in set pictures, which I thought that was kind of cool. It's like a brown leather jacket with his like signature Hawaiian shirt. Trying to think of this is stuff that's just come out over the past little while.
Interesting.
That I just kind of stay up to date with as much as I can. I would like to see if there be something in Doctor Strange 2 though. If they are bringing in multiverse,
just a little joke, just a little like nod of like, there is a universe that exists out there with Tobey Maguire.
I was excited when in the trailer for Spider-Man 2, Far From Home. Oh yeah, there you go. He pulled it up. In Far From Home, when Peter goes, "Oh, there's a multiverse," and then you find out that there's not a multiverse. Like I was like, "Oh, that's how they're going to deal with all of these weird changes and overlaps and everything," and then they just took it away.
I think they teased it. To see, would people want this? Is this something we can try to do? So,
well, I mean, technically, the officially Hydro Man and Sandman, those are the names of the rock element and the fire element.
Yeah,
in the water. The water element in Spider-Man 2. So I don't think we're going to be getting Hydro Man or Sandman as anything else other than that. I remember when Tom Holland said that, he's like, "Oh yeah, so I'm there in this scene and we're fighting Hydro Man." I was like, "Hold on." I was like, "Wait a second. You're saying Hydro Man, like the one that is in love with Mary Jane at one point and like all this stuff, like the villain Hydro Man, like, or
but there is
a water element."
Oh, there is a tie though to the elements, like the elementals is what they're called, I believe, in the comics.
Yeah. But it's not Mysterio though, right?
What do you mean?
Mysterio is not tied to the elements are a different thing in the comics.
Yeah, no, right? The elementals are something else that they merged it all together. So
I was theorizing that Mysterio was going to be old Peter Parker from an alternate universe.
That's what one of my thoughts was that too. Yeah.
Yeah. I was excited. I thought that would have been cool, but I like that they like when they were like, "Oh hey, by the way, Mysterio is a bad guy and he's just using illusions." I was like, "Okay, good." I was like, that makes it like I was like, it's too obvious if they made him appear to be a good guy and then he like actually like they're like, "Oh yeah, looks like Mysterio has powers." Oh, that's kind of weird. I wonder if they're gonna be they're holograms.
Well, the real twist to me was when he's like, "And my lovely team that you've seen has background extras for all of these movies."
We just Lexi and I were watching or rewatching the Marvel movies from the beginning because I haven't seen like a couple of them here or there, but we just watched like Iron Man 1 the other day.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, that is the guy." When what's his face is yelling at him, he's like, "Tony Stark made this in a cave with scraps."
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Are you the guy he's yelling
at?
Yeah,
Gotcha. It's the guy from. I was like, "Oh, that's him."
I love seeing so I have a lot of stunt friends that have worked on the sets, and I just found out a buddy of mine, Adam, was in Iron Man 3 as one of the security guards. So
Nice.
when the Christmas ornament gets tossed up, he picks it up and it blows up in his face. And then he was the stunt double for Vision later on.
Cool.
Yeah, which was
Yeah.
unreal. He posted some pictures the other day of like all of his face paint on and stuff like that. And I'm like, man, this is so cool. I did a little film with him just in the woods here a few years back, and now he's doing all this incredible stuff.
Invite him on sometime.
Well,
I was gonna say,
a friend, one more. Sorry,
you're
huge
good.
brag of my friend Kyle.
Please,
did the
shout it
mocap
out.
for Thanos.
Oh,
What?
Was just, it was. He did like a lot of the. He's a very tall guy, you know. And he did a lot of the physical mocap of it. Obviously, did the face. What's his name? Oh gosh, was the voice actor for Thanos?
Josh Brolin.
Josh Brolin did like all the facial mocap stuff. But
you mean the big brother from Goonies?
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it's really cool to see like guys that I've worked with.
Yeah.
Tons of guys from Indy that I know.
There's a bunch of people in Orlando, because I mean, Atlanta's just a drive up, and it's cool even just seeing like a couple of people that I know recently who have just gone there, who are doing TV shows and stuff now, and I'm like, that's so neat. I was gonna say, we should invite him on if you'd like, and we also might have a treat in the next couple of weeks where we might
do.
I won't say anything, where we might have a really really cool special guest or two to talk about some of our other previous topics that might be a little more close. So please stay tuned. And I think we'll end it for here. If you got any questions, please follow us on, shoot us something on Twitter, Instagram. I think is our most active one right now. You can find all of our podcasts on YouTube. We usually post the day after. You can also find it on Sounder, and Twitch is where we're live streaming them. And I'm just make sure I'm hitting all of them. And iTunes. So
if you'd like to suggest a topic for future discussions, please feel free to give us an email or a message. You can reach out to us at zombies2zoinks@gmail.com. Feel free to give us a like and a follow on our Instagram page at zombies2zoinks. And until next time.
We'll see you then.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks for tuning in.
Oh, wait. Real quick before we go, actually. I wanted to try to close out with this, you guys.
Yes, please.
Let's all give our best impersonations of J. Jonah Jameson saying, bring me pictures of Spider-Man. I'll start.
Okay,
Trask, you go. Daniel, you finish us out. Sound good?
Oh, gosh. Okay. Yes.
Okay, here we go. All right, here we go. Bring me pictures of Spider-Man.
Bring me pictures of Spider-Man.
Bring me pictures of Spider-Man. I like all of the memes where it's like guys don't want pictures of guys don't want girls to send them pictures of them. Guys want pictures of Spider-Man.
Oh, well, yes.
And I'm so glad that he's back in the MCU now, or the Sony verse. So, all right, take care, everyone. We'll see you next time. Bye.